They may not understand it yet. That does not mean you are wrong. It means the proof is not finished. One of the quietest traps in the builder's life is waiting for agreement before commitment. Waiting for your family to see it. Waiting for your friends to respect it. Waiting for your followers to reward it. Waiting for the room to stop looking at you like the vision is too big for the person holding it. But the room is not the forge. The room only sees what has cooled into evidence. The forge sees what is still being shaped. If you need people to understand the vision before you build it, you have made their confusion the gatekeeper of your future. The few learn to work before the village has language for the blade. They build anyway. You know the feeling? You finally start taking the dream seriously. You change your mornings. You protect a few hours. You start learning the skill. You test the offer. You record the first rough take. You put real attention into the thing that has been sitting in the back of your mind for years. Then you look around. Nobody is clapping. Nobody is asking for the link. Nobody is treating this like the beginning of something serious. Some people smile politely. Some people avoid the subject. Some people ask when you are going to do something more realistic. Some people love you, but they still cannot see the room you are trying to build. And because their eyes do not change, you start wondering if your standard should. Maybe I am doing too much. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should explain it better. Maybe I need one more person to tell me this makes sense. That is where many private empires, not from failure, but from over-explaining and asking cold rooms to bless hot work. From trying to make unfinished evidence feel convincing to people who were never assigned to carry it. Listen carefully. You do not need everyone to understand the beginning. Most people cannot understand a thing until it has weight. They understand the business after it has customers. They understand the body after it has shape. They understand the discipline after it has receipts. They understand the content after strangers start repeating it. They understand the new identity after the old version stops coming back. Until then, they are not always rejecting you. Sometimes they are just looking at raw metal and wondering why you are treating it like a blade. In the village, the forge looks strange from the outside. The door is shut. The hours are late. The light leaks through the cracks. The sound of the hammer does not explain itself. To someone passing by, it may look like noise. To the blacksmith, it is language. Every strike has meaning. Every reheating has a purpose. Every ugly stage is part of the final edge. But the village does not see that. The village sees smoke before it sees steel. It hears impact before it sees form. It sees isolation before it sees mastery. That is the nature of becoming. The work makes sense inside the process before it makes sense outside the process. If the blacksmith stopped every time someone knocked on the door and asked, "What are you making?" nothing would ever be finished. If he opened the door too early, the heat would leave the room. If he explained every strike, the blade would stay soft. Some work has to remain protected until it can survive being seen. That is not secrecy from fear. That is privacy with a purpose. You are allowed to build without turning every step into a courtroom. You are allowed to be misunderstood while the evidence is still forming. You are allowed to let people meet the result instead of demanding they approve the process. The forge does not ask the village for permission to be hot. It holds heat until the metal changes. This is the lesson. Understanding is not always the fuel. Sometimes understanding is the smoke that rises after the fire has already done its work. If you wait for understanding first, you may never enter the furnace. So make this practical. Today, stop trying to explain the whole mountain to people who have not watched you climb one step. Choose one visible piece of invisible work. Page written. A lead contacted. A lesson completed. A rough offer shaped. A workout finished. A video recorded. A system cleaned. A small promise kept. Then do it without announcing it. Do it without defending it. Do it without checking whether the room finally gets it. The point is not to become secretive. The point is to become less dependent on immediate interpretation. Build a proof loop. One action. One receipt. One cleaner version. One tighter rep. One public output when it is ready. One private standard whether it is praised or not. If someone asks what you are doing, answer plainly. I am building something. Then return to the anvil. Do not turn the explanation into the work. Do not spend the heat on persuasion. Do not trade the next hour of execution for a conversation designed to make you feel less alone. You are not less serious because they are not convinced yet. You become serious by staying in motion while they are unsure. Proof is built in the gap between your conviction and their comprehension. That gap is uncomfortable. It is also sacred. It is where the few are separated from the loud. Anyone can work when the room agrees. The builder is revealed when the room is confused and the hammer still rises. So let them misunderstand the beginning. Let the early version look awkward. Let the first attempts feel small. Let the village hear noise before it sees the blade. Your job is not to make the unfinished thing look finished. Your job is to keep it in the fire long enough to become undeniable. Do not explain the blade while it is still soft. Do not ask cold rooms to validate hot work. Do not abandon the forge because the village cannot see through the door. Today, build anyway. One clean action. One private receipt. 1 hour protected from explanation. Let the work gather weight. Let the proof catch up. Let the results speak when it is strong enough to be heard. Until then, return to the anvil. The few are not built by being understood early. They are built by staying faithful while the world is still confused.